to English 4E. This is class, 34. It is the last assignment. This is the accommodating activity. And this is Jillian Percy. We've got all my contact info. I'm not going to go over that. It's right there if you need to have it and not really worry about today's stuff because it's all the accommodating info. The last little bit, there's some workplace health and safety stuff. There's not really any assignments on this. This is just kind of talking in general about workplace health and safety. When you're hired for a job, you have a right to a healthy and safe working environment. Some workplaces, however, are naturally more healthy and safe than others, and it is really the decision of an individual to accept conditions as they are. For example, office jobs may have few safety issues involving tools and chemicals, but you might need to focus on injuries from repetitious moves or poor seating, desk, and computer setup. Jobs that involve a lot of customers or clients can involve the risk of customers or clients becoming aggressive or even violent, and procedures should be in place on how to handle those situations. Factory jobs can often have injuries due to repetition or machinery malfunctions. If safety procedures are not followed or protective gear is not worn, this can also cause issues. Some factories may have risks due to chemicals or materials used as well. Jobs like construction that involve using a lot of tools, such as saws, jackhammers, nail guns, etc., have a much higher risk of possible injuries due to possible misuse or tool failure. You are also in contact with a lot of different materials that might have safety issues. Jobs like road construction work may have a very high level of risk due to not only tool usage, but also possible injury issues with passing cars causing possible injuries. Oh, too many words with P's in there. All right. Many years ago, there was very little protection for workers. Any accidents or problems that occurred due to machinery or materials were just part of taking the job, and the company took no responsibility for protecting their workers. To ensure some protection in the workplace, an Occupational Health and Safety Act was established in 1978. The act states that employers and employees share the responsibility for health and safety in the workplace. A chart with WMIS symbols has been developed outlining a variety of hazardous or dangerous materials that workers in certain occupations may handle on occasion or regularly. The acronym WMIS stands for Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System. It's important to recognize these symbols and be aware of the dangers surrounding you in workplaces where they are found. Examples of workplaces can include things like hospital factories, manufacturing plants, and automotive repair shops. Perhaps you've heard of WMIS or even seen the chart before. I'm going to show you the chart on the next page. All right, so these are the hazard pictograms. Now, I know when I first looked at this, I thought this is a little bit different than the kind I've seen in the store. And what it is the retail versions and the occupational versions that you might see in an industrial situation are just a little bit different. I don't know why. It'd be easier for them to all be the same, but again, I don't make the rule. So in bold print is the name given to the pictogram. In the red diamond is the pictogram, and the words in the brackets describe the hazard. So the first one you can see is an exploding bomb, and that's for things that have explosive or reactivity hazards. Then you've got a flame for fired hazards. A flame over a circle is for oxidizing hazards. I'm not 100% sure what that means, but if you're in the business, you would probably know. A gas cylinder for gases under pressure, things like propane and stuff. Corrosion. That is any kind of material that's corrosive to metals as well as skin and eyes, things like bleach, that kind of stuff. Some can be much more corrosive than bleach. Skulls and crossbones. That are things that can cause death or toxicity with short exposure to small amounts. It could be something you swallow or you breathe or you touch. Different things can cause, like, basically very quick death. Health hazard. You can see that that one is something maybe suspected of causing serious health effects. Maybe something like breathing in paint fumes over a period of time, breathing in dust as you're a construction worker, that kind of thing. Exclamation point may cause less serious health effects, or it might just damage the ozone layer. Environment may cause damage to the aquatic or the water environment. And then that funny little one that looks like a bunch of boomerangs is the biohazardous infectious materials. That is for organisms or toxins that may cause diseases in people or animals. So you might see that on like a sharps container, or if you worked in a hospital lab and they're taking samples of, like COVID things or um, different types of infections. You would see that so people would know, hey, this is dangerous and can cause problems. Okay, sorry, just kind of going down to the next thing. Okay, this is the official poster. It's the exact same symbols. It's just the one that you might see in an actual workplace. And you would want to be familiar with these if you see them on any type of chemical or powder or anything that you're using in your workplace. Technically, workplaces are supposed to give you training on that, but I know not all of them do. So it may be something to be mindful of for your own sake. Okay. Like I said, the ones that you'd see on a retail shelf are a little bit different here. This is the symbol for an explosive. Corrosive is the one where you see the skeletal bones. Flammable is the flames. This is poison. This is if you swallow, lick, or sometimes even breathe in the chemical, you could become very sick or die. Uh, it may also have words. Caution means a temporary injury might result. Death might result with extreme exposure. Danger means temporary or permanent injury or death. Extreme danger means exposure to very small amounts might cause death or serious injury. So here is two things. Here is the example you might see on an oxygen tank that it can be explosive. And here is the example you might see on Clorox bleach, which you can just buy over the counter. So you have to be mindful of that. Okay, the culminating activity is an employability skills portfolio. It is worth 110 marks. Any earlier assignments in Unit 4 must already have been submitted and marked before you hand this in to me, okay? Your culminating activity for this unit will be to develop a portfolio as described at the beginning of this unit. It will show your understanding of career planning and the job search process, which hopefully you'll have gained during this unit with a collection of items that will focus attention on employment-related materials. In putting your portfolio together, you will also be demonstrating organizational skills and the ability to follow instructions. You will need a folder entitled ENG4E, Employability Skills Portfolio, in which to place a list of the required items as follows. It could also be a digital folder on your computer. So this is a list of everything, and then I'm going to kind of go into detail about how these different things should look. So number one, a memo to your teacher in response to the phrase, my plans for the future. Your message will be a paragraph containing at least 7 sentences worth 10 marks. It will have the following headings: to, from, date, subject, or it could be in the other order, and then the message. Number two, a copy of your resume, fully revised and edited, worth 10 marks. Number three, a cover letter in response to a job advertisement other than the one we already did, along with the one we completed earlier, 10 marks. A completed job application form, the one from key question 37 is fine, 5 marks. Number five, a copy of the interview questions and answers from KQ40, along with a copy of the job advertisement that you used for it. In addition to this copy, you're going to also be required to complete the following as an oral presentation: a telephone interview where your teacher will ask you the same questions and you respond to the questions. And it's totally fine if you read those, but you want to make it sound like you're talking so it sounds a little more natural. Number six, a brief information report describing any local post-secondary education opportunities which exist in your home community and opportunities for work. If you are working already, comment on your present job situation and whether you're happy with how things are at your workplace. Your report should be at least 2 paragraphs in length. That part is worth 15 marks. And then another information report on a chosen career or a specific occupation examined using any website on a computer at your learning center at home. And then your chosen career or occupation for this report will be one of genuine interest to you. Your report will consist of at least 3 paragraphs. In your report, you will also comment on information you've read concerning positive and negative aspects of the occupation, the levels of education required, any type of salary information, or anything else that you think is important to mention. And that will be worth 20 marks. For this portfolio, you are to include only the final copy of each of the items listed. It will be assumed that you've already done a rough copy and have worked on things. All items in your completed portfolio, except for the application form and the interview answers, must be printouts from a computer. If there happens to be a problem with a printer and you're unable to obtain one, please let your teacher know. For our sake, these days, you can also send me a digital file, just like most people have been doing. That's fine. In addition to receiving a mark for each of the items contained, you'll also be receiving extra marks for neatness and organization. Neatness is 5 marks, and organization is another 5 marks. Okay, so memo is in response to the phrase, my plans for the future, okay? So here is the two possibilities for how to set up the memo. This part would be in the center, and hang on. Think about what are your actual plans for the future? What are you planning to do after you finish high school? Are you hoping to go on to college or university? If so, which one and for what program? Are you hoping to use it to get a raise or a promotion at your current job? Your high school degree. If you're doing it to inspire kids or grandkids, how do you hope finishing high school is going to affect their future? How do you see your future now? Is it different than before? And do you still picture yourself living in the same community? Do you picture yourself moving to try and take advantage of new educational opportunities? If you are staying, how can your skills help your community or other community members? Anything you can think of where you're talking about the future is fine for that memo. Resume. So we already did a resume. It is totally fine to hand me back that same resume. However, if I made any comments or uh, addressed any issues like, oh, this is a little bit short, or oh, you need to change where this goes, or you need to have more adjectives, please fix those issues and then hand it back in to me, okay? If I corrected any grammar, punctuation, spelling, fix those issues as well. This should be a computer copy for sure. 2 cover letters. Okay. So the first one is the cover letter that you submitted in K38. No changes need to be made to that one. The second one needs to be a whole new cover letter based on a new job advertisement that you pick out. Please include a screenshot or a copy of the advertisement you're applying to. So like if you, I know not everybody's computer savvy. So if you looked in the physical copy, the paper copy of the Sioux Bulletin and found an advertisement there that you're responding to, cut it out, clip it, and send it to me so I have got it. Um, if I make any suggestions about grammar or content that could be useful in this letter, please apply them here. Like, in other words, if in your previous cover letter I said, oh, make sure to do this, make sure to do it in this second cover letter as well. So for example, if I said, make sure to include more action words to describe your skills and abilities, do that for this one as well. Okay, application form, you would just hand me in the exact same application form, 5 marks. I know this part seems a little bit silly, but having a portfolio is a common request in English things. It can also be a request for some jobs. So having a portfolio of your samples of business writing is not a bad thing. Number 5, a copy of the interview questions and the answers from key question 40, along with a copy of the job advertisement you used for it. In addition to this copy for your portfolio, you'll be required to complete the following as an oral presentation. A telephone interview with your teacher where your teacher will ask the exact same questions and you respond to those questions, 20 marks. Please email me ahead of time and set up a time for this interview so I'm not teaching or in a meeting or out of the office when you call for this. Note, I actually misunderstood the previous assignment and thought that was the oral version. Apparently, that one was the written version, and I'm sorry I misunderstood that. So if you already did the oral version, then just hand in the written version now, and I just switch the marks and it's all good. Okay. Number 6, a brief information report describing any local post-secondary education opportunities which exist in your home community. Post-secondary is just a fancy word for after high school. So it might be things like there's a contact north. Maybe there's some special training that you can only do if you've finished high school. Maybe there's mining opportunities that you can only do if you've finished high school. Whatever kind of things exist for further education and training, but that you need high school for first, that's what we want you to describe. And any opportunities for different types of work. Maybe there are certain types of jobs, maybe working at the school or other types of jobs where you have to have a finished high school. If you're finished working already, comment on your present job situation and whether you're happy with how things are at your present job. I would also mention, hey, does getting the high school, does it maybe help you get a promotion? Does it get you any kind of more money? Sometimes there's a few jobs I know that if you don't have the training, you make a certain rate of pay, but if you do have the training, you get a slightly higher rate of pay. Does that happen for you here? Your report should be at least 2 paragraphs in length. So you're looking at around 10 sentences there. That's about 15 marks. And then your second information report is a brief information report on a chosen career or a specific occupation examined using any website on a computer at your learning center at home. Your chosen career or occupation should be one of genuine interest to you. Your report will consist of at least 3 paragraphs. In your report, comment on any information you've read concerning positive and negative aspects of the occupation, levels of education required, salary information, and anything else you'd like to mention. So you could look for that kind of stuff on things like job boards like Indeed or Monster or Workopolis. There's also government websites. There's a one called Job Bank that is especially good that you could look at. You could also look at college or university sites. They will often mention, a estimated or possible salary range of jobs that you are training for. So those are different places that you can find that information. So 3 paragraphs. So then I would be expecting about 15. Final copies only. For this portfolio, you are to only include the final copy of each of the items listed above. It's going to be assumed that you've written the rough copy already. Everything should be printed. We've said this already. If there's any problems with this part, please just let me know. I would be happy to help you with stuff, okay? You're going to want to include a table of contents in this portfolio, and it would list these things: the memo, my plans for the future, my resume, my cover letters, my job application form, my interview questions and answers, a report on local post-secondary education and work opportunities, and a report on my chosen occupation. Okay, so that's the very first thing that should be there. All right, and that is the end of Unit 4. Let me see here. You should now have the knowledge and skills related to career planning and the job search process. This entire unit is worth 200 marks. Remember that the overall course grading scheme, the unit assignments for all the assignments is worth 70%. The culminating activity, the one we're talking about right now today, this is worth 10% of your mark. So that means that all the marks that you're working on today, these assignments, are worth more or they count more than the exact same marks in our regular classwork. So that's something to be very mindful of. So the resume that you submitted before with only minor adjustments is worth that much more. Same thing with your job application, okay? It's just a way of making sure that the your abilities and the skills that you've learned and that you're able to show here at the end of the course count more than the part than when you were still learning them and still figuring things out. Okay? And then after this, you have a final exam. The final exam will be worth 20%. Once you get finished all this stuff, contact me or I will message you. But if I'm having trouble reaching you, contact me and we will arrange for a time for the final exam. And that is worth 20%. If there's a problem with taking a final exam, also contact me and we will work out an alternative activity that will also demonstrate your competence with everything we tackled. Okay. Let me see here. What have we got next? Yep. Many places have a learning center. If you have no learning center, that probably means that you don't have a DEC or a tutor in your area, and then we will work out an alternative exam. If you live in town, I know we have some students who live, here in Sioux Lookout or in Hudson or that kind of thing. Often what we just do is arrange for you to come in and just write the exam here in town over at the WASA building. Okay, let me see. Okay, something to think of. Please don't be nervous about the exam, okay? I never have an exam where I'm trying to trick you or try to fail you. I'm always the opposite. I'm trying to make sure that if you've done the work, that this exam shows that, okay? I'm just trying to review the skills and the content that we've already covered during the course. Remember that Unit 1 was all about grammar, parts of speech, parts of sentences, types of sentences. And then the novel study was in Unit 2, where the streams meet. And then Unit 3 was all about business writing, and Unit 4 was all about like looking for work, job hunting. Okay, so lots of business writing in this course. Yep, we've said that. I've said it twice. My apologies. Oh, I'm just must got duplicated here. That happens sometimes. Oh, okay. Quick review of sentence types. Simple one has a subject and a verb and forms a complete thought. He is my subject. Goes walking is my verb phrase. Every morning. A compound sentence is where you join two simple sentences together using coordinating conjunctions. She works downtown, but she lives in the country. Remember, there's only a few coordinating conjunction, and we use fanboys as our acronym for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Complex is where you join a simple sentence or an independent clause with a dependent clause. Usually you're providing like a reason or you're showing a sequence or something like that. She wanted to get a new car because her old one was beginning to break down. Okay, that is just going into that in more detail, how to create a complex sentence. I cooked moose meat for supper. That is a main clause or an independent clause, is sometimes called. It's a complete sentence all on its own. The phrase after I came home from work is not a complete sentence because it does not make sense on its own, but I can put them together. I cooked moose meat for supper after I came home from work. Now, I can also switch the order. The after I came home from work could come in the front. After I came home from work, comma, I cooked moose meat for supper. Okay. So when the subordinate clause comes second in the sentence, you don't need a comma. If it comes first, you do need a comma. Okay, hang on. So you create those subordinate clauses using a subordinate conjunction, unsurprisingly. They join the dependent clause to the independent clause. These kinds of conjunctions can show the cause of an event or compare two things or state a condition or a limitation or explain a place or time or state the reasons for something occurring. Some common subordinate conjunctions could be words like if, although, because. It can be several words working together, like provided that, even if, as soon as. Oops, sorry, let's try and grab that. Here are some common subordinate conjunctions. Things that show cause are things like as, because, or since. Things that are showing a comparison or a concession, just as, although, even though, whereas, while. Conditional can be things like even if, as long as, in case, provided that, providing. Place can be things like where or wherever. Reason can be things like in order that or so that. Time can be things like after, before, as soon as, once, until, when, whenever, or while. Uh, these are more subordinate conjunctions in case you're looking for more examples of them. And here are some examples in a sentence. The missing dog has run wherever he has decided to go. I will get this assignment done, even if I have to stay up all night. After I do my chores, I want to go play baseball. I was concerned about the bad weather. Nevertheless, I still wanted to go for that picnic. Coordinating conjunctions versus subordinating conjunctions. What is the difference and does it matter which one you use? Coordinating conjunctions can only be used with two independent clauses or two simple sentences that can stand on their own all by themselves. They have to make sense. Subordinating conjunctions are what you use when one part is an independent clause, but the other part is dependent. If I had the money, I would go to the movies, right? Um, oh, that's something else. Sorry. I think that's quickly. Okay. Um, Unit 2, you're not going to need to know the entire ins and outs and all the tiny little details in the novel where the rivers meet, because I don't think that's fair. But you should have a good sense of the overall setting, characters, plot, theme, and the conflict. I would take a quick look at the comedy activity you did for that unit, and just kind of refresh your memory on what the novel was about, especially if you've been doing this course over several months and it's been a while since you've looked at the book. You might have forgotten things. I would just take a quick look at that. Unit 3, a lot of what we're doing in Unit 4 would kind of help review a lot of the types of writing that we've done at Unit 3. Memos, business letters, other types of letters, the payback analysis of business writing that we worked on, how to read instruction manuals, the parts of a business proposal, all those kinds of things that we worked on. We're really just kind of reviewing them now, and they're the kind of things that would be gone over again in a typical exam. And this stuff we really just finished, and it should be pretty fresh in your mind. Cover letters, job applications, resumes, and interview questions. So if you know all that, basically you're ready to write the exam. Just contact me and we will work out a convenient time. Remember that we are now in the last term of the year to be. The final day to hand anything in is June 13th, and then you're done. June 14th, you can write the exam. Now, if you get finished earlier, you can write the exam earlier, but we have to have a little bit of time to prepare report cards. The earlier you can get your stuff into me, the better it's going to be. Okay? If there's any kind of questions about how to do an assignment, or if you're stuck, or if you're even just feeling nervous and just want someone to talk through an assignment with, I would be happy to talk to you on the phone or message with you on Facebook, or even do a Zoom phone call if that would be helpful. If you live and work in Sioux Lookout and want to come in and work with me at the office, that's fine too. Just give me a heads up ahead of time so that I can make sure that I'm free at that time period. Okay. Thank you so much for working with me on this course. I hope you found it helpful, and good luck to your future endeavors. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.